All right, let's talk about it. You see what I got? Got the Eagles here on today. Fly, Eagles. Fly. 12-1. 12-1. You know, 12-1, right? And we got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about it because it's a lot of people not putting respect on our name after we ran rushyard through the whole NFL, right? We ran rushyard through the whole NFL. And you remember at the beginning of the year, people were talking. They were saying, well, we got to, it looks good on paper. They got to put it on the field. And how's it going to look on the field? And if you go back to my earlier tweets, which you can follow us right now at HHU for Life on Twitter, I said if Jalen Hurts balls out, right? If he balls, I don't do all the pause or no homo stuff, right? Forget that over here. But if Jalen Hurts balls out, the Super Bowl window opens for the Eagles. The Super Bowl window. And the Super Bowl window is open for the Eagles. Now, when you're on top, it comes with a lot of hate. A lot of haters. People that don't want to see you win or be successful. That comes with the territory. You got to chalk that up and keep it pushing. But in particular from the division, because anybody that they put up against, we beat. And any time that we lost, which is one time, I don't like to make excuses for losses, and I'm not making excuses, but everybody's seen the game. And despite the fact that Washington made some key plays, fumble strips and things like that, we beat ourselves in that game. But they took advantage. They took advantage, and they showed what everybody thought was the blueprint, right? The blueprint to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Just so happened that right after that week where they say we got so-called gash, when we only, I ain't going to get into the ifs of what happened, Quez and then the face mask. Things happen in every game, so I'm not going to get into that. Shout out to Washington for that, right? But, and I'm kind of glad we're not undefeated. I'm glad we're not undefeated because there comes so much pressure, and every week they're going to say, who's going to beat you? Who's going to beat you? Forget the undefeated stuff. When Washington beat us that day, right, it lit a proverbial fire up under us. Now we making statement wins. Like, we'll take our foot off the gas against Green Bay and different teams like that. We cut the Giants' fucking throat yesterday. We beat those boys bloody. And we showed them we could put a 50-piece up on you as well. Right? And that made me feel great. Because all the wimpy-ass Giants fans talking mess all week, all year. Oh, the Eagles this. So now you got these sorry-ass mofos. What they're waiting on is your downfall. Remember, when you're at the top, people are going to quietly, patiently wait on your downfall. But it ain't happening this year. It ain't happening. And what I really want is I want the Commanders, the commies, to win their first round matchup, be the last seed, and come to Philly so we can serve that ass properly. Like we served that ass that first time, week 3 in DC. I was there. I witnessed it. I want to serve that ass properly. I want blood in Taylor Heineke's mouth. I want them walking off the field losers, right? And us on our way to the NFC Championship game. Now, since that game, they said we supposedly got gashed, which they played keep away, which was a masterful plan, right? We added Big Linval Johnson and Ndamukong Suh, right? And I don't have to pull up the specific numbers today, but I can tell you this. Since that, we have not allowed an 100-yard rusher. I could tell you that Saquon had maybe 28, 38 yards. I could tell you that the running back before that, Derrick Henry, who was proverbially probably the best back in the league, had like 30-something yards. The week before that, Jonathan Taylor had like 80-something yards after he had like 50-something yards in the first series. We got our big boy Jordan Davis back. So I want them to try that shit again. Because if they come out there with that same shitty-ass plan, right, they are going to be in for a rude awakening. But shout out to them, turning their season around. And my thing about them as well is, so we not blaming the ownership no more? We ain't blaming Dan Snyder no more? I thought he was the reason why y'all was losing, but now y'all winning, so who we blaming now? It's so easy, the ownership and this, that, but y'all winning now. So is the owner's fault y'all winning? My man Louis T. I'm going to talk to Louis T real quick because now that's my man. I like, I don't know him personally, but I watch some of his commentary. And quite frankly, when it comes to the Eagles, he's a hating ass, you know what? But he's great at what he does. I will never take that away from him. Excellent analysis on the NFL, except when it comes to the Eagles. When it comes to the Eagles, you don't know what the hell he's talking about. I got to keep it real with you, He a lot of hate, a lot of bias, and he really thinks that Washington can beat anybody. But I hate to talk about the almost with the Commanders. I hate to talk about the almost, and I'm not against them. I'm not one of those haters, right? But y'all should have lost to Chicago. Who was the other team that should have beat y'all? That muff shit up. I know it was Chicago. Damn, it was one more team that y'all should have lost to. Y'all made a good play at the end, but any other team would have beat y'all. Chicago's at the 1 yard line, right? So y'all got the win against us, which to me that's like a Super Bowl for y'all because that's all y'all keep talking about, right? But we still 12-1. We still sit at the top of this. So the next goal for the Philadelphia Eagles, let me mark it down in case you don't know, is to get the number 1 seed, which we already got number 1. That's 2. Number 1 is to get the playoff berth. Number 2 is to get, the number 1 seed. Then after that is win a playoff game. Whether that be was probably going to end up being a divisional round. We'll be sitting back watching, these peons go to war, and then they'll have to come to Philly. Now, once we get to that step, it's anybody's game because now the schedules are gone. The schedules are gone, right? Everybody 0-0. Everybody got all the tape from the season. So now it's time to show and prove when you get into the playoffs, right? But the way that we playing, the way our defensive line is flying around right now, the way our offensive line is like a wall for Jalen and opening up the Red Sea for Miles Sanders, nobody's going to beat us unless we beat ourselves. Now, you got some content like Dallas is a good... If you wanted to ask me who I think's the biggest threat to beating the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm in between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. That's what I'm in between right now. But that's the goal. So all the stuff that's done in the regular season don't mean nothing when you hit the playoffs. The next test for the Eagles will be, after hopefully we clinch the number 1 seed, will be, what will it be? It'll be to win 2 playoffs games, you win the Super Bowl. 2. I've seen teams choke in my lifetime. I've seen it. Do I think they're going to choke? No, but they could do a Dallas Cowboy. Be one and done, which would be a total disappointment. I wrote yesterday on my Twitter that it's Super Bowl or bust. Super Bowl or bust for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, time of possession, because here's what Louis T says, that Washington leads the NFL in time of possession, which, according to this updated stat, it does. Washington leads the NFL in time of possession, so they can play they can beat anybody, right? Even though they lost, 4 or 5 games, but they can beat anybody, right? Let's go down that list and see who's on that list and see how close of a disparity it is. So you got Washington number 1, right? And they're holding it about 33 minutes a game. Baltimore, 32 minutes. San Fran, 32 minutes. Cleveland, 32 minutes. Cincinnati, 31 minutes. And the Philadelphia Eagles, 31 minutes. So what's that tell you? In order for them to beat us, they will have to replicate the same thing that they did, right? Which we've been stopping the run, so that's probably not going to happen. And they're probably not going to convert on like 14 third downs again. That's probably not going to happen again. We're not going to have 4 turnovers again, right? It just ain't going to happen. You just don't get that type of thing that happens in the NFL back to back, right? And they did and you're not going to get A.J. Brown to get hurt again early in the game. So what does that tell you? If they got any shot, and I'm gonna give you guys the formula to beat the Eagles right now. But if you got any shot, all those things are going to happen and then some. Because all those things happen, and at the end of the game, there was still an opportunity. There was a missed call, which, okay, I hate doing that. Because I don't like when other people, I don't want to do that, but I'm just calling it what it is. It was a missed call, which took the top tight end in the league out. Face mask, which was clear as day. Okay, let it go. And then right after that, Jalen Hurts puts us in position to win with a bomb to Quez Watkins. He gets up, is looking at the man over here, not knowing the man is coming up behind him. Remember, ball security. And the ball gets knocked out, right? Which is a heads-up play. The Washington Commanders made heads-up play. Once in a lifetime plays that game. That will probably never be made again. So if you are to beat us, you got to replicate that same game plan, and you preferably got to shut down the wide receivers. You got to stop, and then you got to stop the run game, which we didn't really attempt to run that much because the time of possession was so skewed in that particular game. But, if we want to, we can run the ball against anybody. So with the time of possession thing that Louis T is talking about, to me, it don't mean anything because you only possessing the ball 2 minutes longer than us. And if we really want to, we can pound that fucking ball down your throat and play keep away from you as well if we really want to. But we going up top, we going over your head because your corners suck. And we going to run that damn score up and we're going to shut the run down. Now, I don't see y'all getting out of the first round. But if y'all do, I want you to come to Philly so we can put your ass in a body bag. And I can sit after the game and watch the Eagles post-game shows, watch my man Lord Brunson and all the people that I watch, and then tune over to your channel, right, and stare in your face for about 3 hours and watch you bitch and moan. Bitch and moan about how I was this and how I was this, and, Dan Snyder did this, Dan Snyder did that, and we got to get a quarterback, and we had a good season, we shouldn't have been there. I want to hear this. And the reason I'm at Louis, because Louis the biggest shit trash talker ever out there. So just because you think you guys can hold the ball a little bit longer, right? We could do the same thing to you if we want to. And my thing is, I think if we play you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up. We're going to mix it up. We're going to pound the ball. We're going to run for 150, and we're going to pass for 300 this time. Trust me. But, all right, let's get to how you beat the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, right? You can't. You can't, baby. Let's go. This shit looks beautiful, baby. This is the best in the NFL right here, right? I got this joint. I gotta get the case for it, the Super Bowl case for this joint, man. But how you beat the Philadelphia Eagles? All right. So Washington kind of showed you a little bit. Now, if you lose, it's really 2 ways, right? And obviously it goes a little bit deeper. You got to win a turnover battle. You got to win a time of possession battle. You got to try to keep the offense off the field as long as you can. As long as this dynamic offense is on the field, they're going to make plays, right? And if you don't have cover corners that can stick with Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown for 3-4 seconds, even then, right? You got to do that. Then you got to have contained for Jalen Hurts. So you got to make it disruptive. You got to speed up his process. You got to make it very disruptive for Jalen Hurts. Kind of like Tampa Bay did, right? Kind of like Tampa did in that playoff game, which it's a different Jalen Hurts now because now, as you seen yesterday, Wink Martindale bringing the blitz on Jalen Hurts. You've seen now that when the blitz comes in, he has a hot route that he's going to go to. And he's going to back up a little bit, fire to the hot route, kill you. Or if you blitz him and you don't keep the right lane integrity, he's going to run right past you for the first down. If it's 20 yards away, he'll get it, right? So it was almost impossible. So you definitely got to win a turnover battle. You got to win a time of possession battle. You got to cover the receivers. You got to create chaos, right? And have your lane integrity when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Like, you can't let him beat you running, period. Right? Now, Louis T likes to say, well, Washington stopped us. No, Washington didn't stop Jalen Hurts. We didn't even attempt to run like that because he gashed you guys for like 320 yards the first game. Right? Gashed you guys. So it was never an attempt to run. See, the Eagles understand. They understand what secondary they're going up against and what they can do. And if they understand if you got sticky cover guys, then okay, we're going to design some runs for Jalen Hurts to break your back when it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, right? So blitzing doesn't work. Playing man definitely don't work against these receivers. So your best thing is to try to confuse him in coverage and have aggressive corners, which could come back to bite you as well. Right? And then what makes it so hard is that the offensive line is the best offensive line in the league. So if they want to pound a rock, they're going to pound a rock anyway. And you try to blitz them, they're going to be stout against the blitz. So it's almost an impossible feat. Only one team has done it, and they've done it with our help. I mean, look at a team like San Francisco. Another thing, you have to score. You have to score. You have to get up in the 30s. Which Washington got to, even though the last touchdown was fluky, they got to 32. You got to get up in the 30s. And not a lot of teams can do. That's why I say Dallas, but if you look at Dallas, you can run on Dallas. You can run on Washington. You can pass on Washington. Right? If anybody can get this done in the playoffs, it's D'Amico Ryans. But what can that offense do? This is what makes it such a great thing going into the playoffs. I feel like the Eagles are the favorites in the NFC. Definitely. I feel like anything can happen now. I've been watching NFL for a long time that any given Sunday you can get punched in your mouth and you can be sitting on that couch and the next team could be on their way to the Super Bowl if they get hot enough. But I don't think even a hot team is coming into Philadelphia and beating this Philadelphia Eagles team. I'm starting to get, and not even because like the 2017 year, I was watching, but I wasn't watching because it was like the Colin Kaepernick thing, so I was kind of on the fence about the NFL. And I even said, like, watch they go to the Super Bowl this year, and they went to the Super Bowl. This is giving me, this team, right? There's something special in that locker room because it's giving me 2003, 2004 vibes. Well, I can remember watching, like, the YouTube I don't think it was around at that time. So I'm going on to the Eagles website and watching the interviews, watching the press conferences, and, one team, one city, one dream. Yeah, Brian Dawkins and these guys. And it was just a certain feeling. Even though we lost, it was a certain feeling in that locker room. And I really got that feeling last week when I was watching Brad Berry's interview. A couple other guys, I think BG. I'm sitting there watching these guys interview, and I'm listening to the guys talk, and there's a sense of urgency, and there's a sense of, you know, this is just step one of the process. Nobody's satisfied being 12-1. See, it's easy to get complacent and get satisfied with winning and say, okay, I'm gonna get a contract next year. Guys is doing all these numbers. Anybody who wants a contract is getting a contract, whether with the Philadelphia Eagles or somebody else, right? You got Miles Sanders on a contract year. Bradbury, we got like 14 something players that got to be re-signed, right? Which all of them ain't gonna come back. But I'm starting to sense something in that locker room that I sensed in 2004. Like, these guys ain't done. And don't know if we're going to win the Super Bowl, but the destination is to get to the Super Bowl. That's the goal. Anything short of that is a failure. The goal is to get to the Super Bowl, and I think that the guys on the team, right, are built for it. They believe it. That's the objective of every single guy in that locker room, is to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, obviously. But to get to the Super Bowl first, that's the objective from guys in that locker room. I'm telling you right now, I sense it. Now I'm listening. I'm watching the guys' body language, and everybody's kind of echoing the same thing. It's great, it's everything, but we got to continue the task at hand. The task is to do this, and we're not satisfied with this, and we ain't looking ahead. We taking it one game at a time, and that's how you get things done. You're not looking around at other things, other teams. You're focusing in on your task at hand. Keep, like Jalen Hurts says, keeping the main thing. Whether it's the Giants busting their ass. Now Chicago, you got to go down there and punch them in their mouth. You know what I mean? And then after that, I think it's Dallas on Christmas Eve, which that game might not mean much or whatever. By that time, we might have everything locked up. But yeah, I'm sensing something in that locker room, man. So to be continued with that. We got to get lucky. Injuries, we got to stay injury free. And one thing I am concerned about, not that much concerned about, is the rust that could play a factor. I think the Eagles have to be very careful to balance the rust and the injury factors. So let's say if we clinch early and you want to sit your starters for 10 weeks, exaggerating, but 2 weeks, rust could play a factor coming in with a hot team, just came off a win. They come in smoking. You come in, guys dropping passes, guys false starts. So you got to really keep that median, that balance, of, keeping guys playing. Even if guys come in and play like a couple series or a quarter, you got to get guys on the field. You don't want to have be 16-1 or whatever the case may be, come out in the divisional round and get smoked because you're rusty. You don't want that to happen. So I think the coaching staff and the players, I think there's enough veterans on the team that doesn't happen. But guys got to come out and they got to play. They got to understand that the playoffs is a totally different ball game. The speed of the game is different. But you got to seize the opportunity this year if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and get number 2. You got to seize the opportunity. We get Dallas Goedert back. Robert Quinn comes back in a couple of weeks. So we should be going into the playoffs relatively healthy and clicking on all cylinders. We get to sit out the first week, kind of lick your wounds, kind of study teams, watch games. Then you come back out, attacking practice on Wednesday and really just getting out there and ready to destroy the team that comes into the link and move on to the NFC Championship game. That has to be the goal. That has to be the goal. And I think these guys are, just listening to them, in the locker room, I just think it's different. So, predictions that I get out of here. Here's my prediction. Super Bowl prediction, right? Obviously, I'm going to say the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I'm a homer. I'm going to do that, right? Eagles in the Super Bowl. AFC. Who I'm going to pick for the AFC? Let me look at the standings real quick, and then I could get a... I do want to say the Chiefs for a lot of different reasons. Miami's kind of falling out to me, right? I want to say the Chiefs. I do. Come on, Al. I don't want to work, right? I want to find. I want to say the Chiefs. You got the Bills. They got to overcome that. I want to say the Chiefs. I want to say that the Chiefs, are able to, take care of business. But they're beatable. They're beatable. And if anybody has a shot at beating them, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. Now, I like the Jets are playing good. You got some teams clicking. Miami's always going to be a threat. My thing with Miami is that they you see them guys and they still got tan lines on their skin. So it's like when you got to go in Kansas City or Buffalo or even, New York when it's cold, you can't bring the Miami weather with you. So how you going to respond? How you going to play? Obviously, you got Tariq and all that, and that could be a matchup. But I think it's going to come down to Buffalo and Kansas City, with Miami being a wild card. But I got Kansas City, Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. The two MVP candidates going at it in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Young, second year head coach Nick Sirianni. You got the Kelsey brothers. Which they got a tremendous podcast. You got them going at it with each other. That's what I see happening this year. It's going to be epic. It's going to come down to the wire, maybe a kick or something at the end of the game. But I see the Chiefs versus the Eagles, in the Super Bowl. That is my pick. You're tuned into Viral Sports, the Viral Sports podcast. It's been a minute, but I had to drop something over here for you guys. And with that being said, man, fly, Eagles, fly on a road to victory. Let's get number 2. Let's get number 2 this year. Still a long way to go, but I want number 2. I was at the Super Bowl parade the first time. I want that parade down Broad Street again. I want to experience another parade down Broad Street and lessen that Super Bowl margin to 1. I'm tired of everybody in the division, saying, "Oh, we got 3, you got 1. You only got 1, you got 1." Well, I want to get 2 this year. The window's open. You want to get it done this year, right? And you get it done this year. You're bringing Jalen Hurts back. You're giving him a contract, right? You got some guys that got to be re-signed as well. So I'll finish with that. I'm on the fence with Bradbury. I would love to bring Bradbury back. First of all, I think you got to bring back TJ Edwards, right? I think Kazir is going to go, even though I love Kazir White. I think he's going to go. You bring TJ back. You bring Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back, who was our tremendous safety, leading the NFL in interceptions. Right, that's 2 right there. You bring Miles back. Hargrave you bring back, right? And I think you probably draft either another end. It's a lot of guys. Bradbury. If you can work something out with Bradbury, I think you bring Bradbury back if you can work something out. If you can work something out long term, because you look at Slay, I think if Slay gets a ring this year, he may have 1 or 2 more years left after that. I think he only has like 2 more years on his contract anyway. I think he might want to hang it up, very, very soon, even though he's still playing at a high level. Even Bradbury's not too far behind him as well, but I think that you go, again, Miles, TJ, Chauncey. It's a lot of guys, man. It's a lot of guys. Maybe let me try to pull it up real quick. If I can pull it up real quick, Eagles free agents after this year, because we got quite a few guys. But you got to. I said at the beginning of the year, people were talking about, Kenneth Gain. Nah, Miles Sanders is one of the best backs in the NFL, and I'm glad that he's proven it this year. I'm just hoping that he can stay healthy for the rest of the year to help us push the Super Bowl run. So let's go to Eagles free agents 2023. Okay, so Fletcher Cox, which I think he might be gone. Unless you could bring him back on a friendly deal, let him go. All right, we got a lot. Whew, all right. Woo. Man, some big decisions. So all right, so I say bring back. You got Fletcher Cox, Robert Quinn, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Jason Kelsey, James Bradbury, Isaac Seumalo, Andrew Dillard, Kazir White, T.J. Edwards, Dominic Sue, Linville Joseph, Boston Scott, Zach Pastel, Miles Sanders, Rick Lovato, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, Sulu Opeta, Tyree Jackson, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Epps. Right, man. So they're taking a big hit. Fletcher Cox is 14 million a year. Brandon Graham's 13 million a year. Devon is 13. Kelsey's 9. Bradbury's about 7. Right, right. So yeah, again, you bring TJ back. I don't know about Marcus Epps. I think I think you get a friendly deal. So you bring back Marcus Epps. You bring back, Chauncey Gardner. That's your safeties. Slay's coming back. If you can get Bradbury, you bring him back. If not, you're probably going to draft a corner maybe in the second round because you got 2 first-round picks. I think right now we're sitting at number 5, which I want to see them get an edge rusher. And then I think edge rusher, defensive tackle, cornerback, right? Edge rusher, defensive tackle, cornerback. What the Eagles should do in this draft, right? So you bring Miles back. You bring Miles. You bring back Chauncey. You bring back Epps. You bring back T.J. Edwards. Bradbury, if you can. If you get a friendly deal. If not, you let him walk. And try to replace him with a young rookie that, Slay could help build up in the next year or two. Kazier's probably gone. Andre Dillard's probably gone. Seumalo. That's interesting. I think I'll bring Seumalo back, but we shall see. They might want to get a little younger there. Kelsey might be gone, which we already got a replacement. I think that you got Brandon Graham as well. I think that if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, you maybe get Graham and you get Kelsey that retire. But if you can, if Graham wants to stay around Super Bowl or not, I think you bring him back. I'll bring him back on a team-friendly deal. Fletcher Cox probably walks. I would like to see him come back on a team-friendly deal. If you can put him in a rotation, I don't think that hurts you. Say Amalo Dillard, Kazir White may have to go. He's going to make it $3 million a year. Maybe you could bring him back something. You got to get him inside the cap. Dominic Sue's gone. Linville Joseph's gone. Boston Scott probably gone. Jack Pascal's probably gone. You're going to bring Rick Lovato back. He's a long snapper. So, yeah, it seems like a lot. But you got some big decisions, man. I think the guys that I mentioned, your Epps, your Gardners, your Miles Sanders, those guys and your Javon Hargraves are priorities. Those 4 guys right there. Bradbury, he already said in his presser last week that he would love to stay with the Eagles if everything was right. So I would love to bring him back. I think he's an excellent duo. And if you bring him back, I think you're competing again next year. You're going to have Jalen. You're going to have to give him $40-50 million a year. You still got Quez signed, which he'll probably be up for a deal next year or the year after. You have Quez signed. You have AJ's here for the next 3-4 years. Devontae's here. Goddard signed. Yeah. I think the future of the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be great. But it's going to be decided in who we sign and who we draft this year. So I think you got to go in. We got the 5th pick of the draft. You go in and get one of those dogs, edge rusher because you need that. Even though you still got Reddick, you still got, Sweat, which you may be able to go tackle, depending on who's there. Either tackle. If you can get a dominant tackle to go with Jordan Davis, the Eagles' future is looking great, man. The Eagles' future is looking great. Howie has did a job. Because if you get another good tackle to come in and ball out the ball, you know what I'm saying, with Jordan Davis, you bring Javon Hargrave back, and maybe you bring maybe you still got Williams there as well. You want about 4 or 5 tackles, right, that you can rotate in. It's looking good for you. Yo, I'm telling you, man, the Eagles' future, man, is looking pretty good. Then maybe, you got a 5th pick in the draft. I said I had this plugged up the whole time. You're probably gonna end up with the last pick in the draft. Number 30 something. Maybe you get a corner. Maybe you get a corner. Maybe you get a defensive end. Maybe the second round you can get a corner. It's a lot that could be done, coming up, in the draft. So, we'll play it by ear. It's a few games left in the season. And we're gonna see how this thing goes, man. But this is my recap of the Philadelphia Eagles. The next time you'll probably hear from me, we'll be in the playoffs, man. So I appreciate you guys listening in. Viral Sports Podcast. Fly, Eagles, fly. Peace.